There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie. For instance, number 1, you can never have sex. Big no-no! Big no!
I'm a dead man.
Sex equals death, okay? Number 2, you can never drink or do drugs. No, the sin factor. It's a sin. It's an extension of number 1. And number 3, never, ever, ever, under any circumstances say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back.
I'm getting another beer. You want one?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be right back.
Drew, do you abide by those rules in real life?
Well, I mean, I guess if you think about it, I already broke rule number 1. I have a kid, right? And I am heavily intoxicated, and I'm drinking beer right now as we speak, right? Ooh. So I guess that breaks rule number 2, and then I have to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back, man. Can you cover this right now?
This guy's dead. He'd be dead in an instant.
Can you just cover this for a second?
No, I can't. Podcast over.
Welcome back. This is episode 117 of the Last Row podcast. This is part 2 of Halloween month. This is part 2. If you are new to the show, check us out, thelastrowpodcast.com. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you follow social media. At The Last Row Pod is our handle on pretty much all of them. And if you're enjoying the show, please consider subscribing and leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Podchaser. Badway.
Yo.
Happy Halloween.
Happy
I guess
Halloween.
Pre-Halloween, right? This will be coming out a couple days before, but happy Halloween.
It's Halloween week, man. Get up. Get excited. Let's go.
What are you going as? Are you
go.
dressing up? Are you getting your Scream mask out?
I'm going as... I don't know. I don't know what I'm going as. Definitely going. I'll tell you that much. I am going. What I am doing is I'm going to the movie theater to watch Scream on December 20th, 1996.
Is that where you were?
I was not.
You were not.
I rented this on VHS.
Ooh.
Where were you when you saw Scream?
I think I saw it on VHS as well, or HBO or something like that. So
not to derail us right away, but I have a funny story about this. I got a friend. His name's Mike, and we're friends for a long time. Still friends. I mean, very close. He was a jerk. And we sat down, like there was maybe 5, 6, 7 people in the house, and we were ready to pop in the tape, but we rented from Blockbuster or wherever, Laneco, I don't know.
Don't say it.
And he goes, "Hey guys, the killer, it's the boyfriend and his friend." And we're like, "Why would you say that? What kind of asshole?" He completely spoiled the movie for the whole room just because he could.
What was the reaction? Did people believe him, or did they think he was messing around?
We weren't sure, but like once we started watching the movie, it's like, okay, this is probably true. What an asshole.
Cool. Not cool.
That was like the most spoilerific moment of my life.
And this was a hot movie too. So, the internet wasn't as prominent.
No.
So when you're doing
easy to
that,
hide it. Word of mouth is the only way to ruin it.
That's how it gets spoiled back then. You get a guy at a party that tells you the ending.
You know, Snape kills Dumbledore,
No! I can't believe it.
Runtime, 1 hour, 40 minutes. Pushing it, but just right.
It's just slightly too high, but it was good. It was all right.
Horror / mystery / genre. Directed by Wesley Craven. What do you know about Wes Craven, Drew? What franchise is Wes Craven known for?
I know that he craves nightmares. And
Horror test. You passed. I know you're not.
Nightmare on Elm Street, right? That's him?
It is, correct. I know you're not a horror buff, but you got that one. So
he's done some other stuff too. Didn't he do like, what is it? Puppet Master or something?
He's done other stuff.
He's done some other things.
He's done Last House on the Left. He's done Hills Have Eyes, Swamp Thing.
Ooh.
He's done my personal favorite, crappy horror movie, The Shocker, where the guy gets the electric chair and then gets reincarnated as a ghost.
Does he become electricity?
Yes, he can float through the TV and stuff. It's really awesome.
I like that.
Yeah. People Under the Stairs, among others. So
that's a star-studded resume there, a very robust resume from the horror master himself.
Yeah, and rest in peace. He died in August of 2015.
I guess I don't know why I thought he was still alive. That's crazy.
He lives forever. He was 75. 76.
He's living his electricity right now
Yeah.
in your TV. So
Yeah, I hope he popped through and be like, yo, just like the movie. Written by Kevin Williams. So Kevin Williams' son.
Kevin Williams' son?
Kevin Williams' son. What movie did Kevin Williamson write that we at the Last Row Podcast have reviewed?
I know what you did last summer. I have no idea. I'm
Correct.
guessing.
Correct.
Is that what it was? All right.
Yeah, you got it.
I just guessed,
Yeah.
Once
He
a
wrote-
horror, always a horror.
He wrote Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer. How about that? How about that?
That's right, because we talked about him when we did that episode.
Yeah.
I'll link it in the show notes. That's a good resume there.
And then after that, he wrote a third teen movie that is one of my cult favorites. It stars who's Tom Cruise's ex-wife? What's her name?
Nicole Kidman?
No, the other one.
Oh,
Katie Holmes.
Katie Holmes.
What's the movie? What's the movie?
Oh,
They're in
man.
school.
Is it The Faculty?
Yes.
Yeah,
Love that movie.
I've not seen that all the way through, and that's another one. Maybe Halloween 2023, we can do that one.
Love that movie.
That's got Devon Sawa, right? Is
No,
that
it's Elijah Wood. Devon Sawa's the other one. Damn.
and which
I can't
one?
even-
Josh Hartnett is in one of those.
Josh
too, isn't he?
Hartnett is in that.
There you
one.
go.
Yes.
All right, you get all the 2000s heartthrobs, late
Yes.
90s.
Yeah. Disturbing Behavior, I think, is the other one.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Idle Hands.
Yeah. Disturbing Behavior and Faculty are like the same movie, basically, but a little different. IMDb 7.4 out of 10. We're talking about Scream now, not Idle Hands.
That's about right.
It's about right. Maybe
about
a little
right.
higher. Maybe a little higher.
Yeah,
It's Rotten Tomatoes 79%.
it's about right.
I think at least at 80. I think we need to bump that up 1%. Metacritic 65%. Too low.
Too low.
Letterboxd 4.0 out of 5.0. That's about right, right?
That's about right.
about right.
I'm surprised it doesn't have higher just because people revere this film.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good.
That's fair. That's fair. A year after the murder of her mother, a teenage girl is terrorized by a new killer who targets the girl and her friends by using horror films as part of a deadly game. Rated R.
Did I spell that wrong? No.
No, I said
You
it wrong.
said flims.
It was a joke. It's my stupid sense of humor.
Is that the shortest synopsis that we've had? I
Yeah,
feel
too
like
short.
it's
Too
too
short.
short.
Too short.
Too
But I
low.
don't want their life story, so it's fine. I'd rather
Too
have
low.
it too short than too long.
Too low. Yeah, too short. All right. So I'm going to hit you up with a bunch of taglines today. I think there's some really good candidates for Last Row Hall of Fame taglines. I'll go through these pretty quick because there's a lot. And we had to make some cuts to these, but let's you be the judge, all right? Someone is playing a deadly game, someone who has seen way too many scary movies.
Okay, like I'm not loving it, but it's fine.
Yeah, all right. He's taken his love of fear one step too far.
No, I'm out.
I
Not
don't
on
like
that
that
one.
one. And it should be they. They've taken their love
Yeah.
of fear. Solving this mystery is going to be murder.
Yeah, I don't know. A little too cheesy.
It's all
a little
right.
too cheesy for me.
It's all right.
Yeah.
From the first name in suspense comes the last word in fear.
Ooh.
Now that's a good one, man.
Ooh, I like
That's a good one.
it. A little Wes Craven love.
I like that one. You
And
honor the man.
The last word before you die is probably a scream. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's great.
I like that one. That's
Love
a candidate.
Love it. Put it on the poster.
Here's where it gets a little funny, right? Don't. I'll go through these fast. Don't answer the door. Don't leave the house. Don't answer the phone. But most of all, don't scream.
What? Don't tell me what to do. All right?
It's like,
Don't tell me what not to do.
next one. I'll be right back. Don't answer the door. Don't leave the house. Don't answer the phone. Most of all, don't scream. I'll be right
Man,
back.
did Kevin Williamson write the taglines too? Because that's straight out of I Know What You Did Last Summer, right?
I'm coming for you. I'll be there.
Or no, that's Final Destination.
Yeah, that was
It's
Final Destination. I'll see
Yeah.
you soon. Goodbye.
See you soon. Goodbye. Hello.
I'm here. Hello.
I'm here.
Now somebody is victim and someone is a suspect.
No.
Now everybody is a victim and everybody is a suspect.
You can't change the nobody, the someone to the everybody and expect it to be the same. No.
They were two separate lines, but I feel like the only way that could work is if they were on the top. The one is on the top of the poster and the one is on the bottom of the poster, and they're in the same picture, but does not work separately.
It doesn't work, and I don't like that. I don't like it. I don't like it.
I gotta go with either I'll be right back, or the first name in suspense comes
But
the last word in fear.
If you hadn't seen the movie, then you don't know to say it.
Right.
It's Stu's tone.
right,
I'll be right back.
That's true. That's true. That's like the VHS cover because they're going to get people to see it, but it doesn't make sense because you need to know the context before you can put that on there.
Put the horror rules on there. Well,
put them on there.
Rules. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's definitely a good one. Yeah. This one, so $14 to $15 million budget, which is not that much. This thing was made on I don't want to, dare I say, shoestring budget. I mean, $15 million is no joke, but it's not that much. It's not that much.
Think about it. Like, what did they do? They were on a set. They were in a couple houses.
Yep.
Like, nothing really happened.
They got a costume from the dollar store.
A car hit a tree. Like, really, what happened?
That was a pretty intense scene, which we'll get to later. Hashtag, we'll get to that later. And then the worldwide gross, man. This thing is what you would call a phenomenon, not to be confused with Phenomenon starring John Travolta, which also came out this time.
And not the rap song by LL Cool J.
Exactly.
It's not something like a phenomenon.
173 million plus estimated. It became the highest grossing slasher film until the release of Halloween 2018. And technically, it still remains, according to Wikipedia, the highest grossing slasher film in adjusted dollars. This thing was a banger, Badway.
Banger. It's because of the hot, sexy cast, right?
Yeah, it was, for sure. For sure. And I think that's probably what they spent the money on. I mean, you're right. The sets were not much. And speaking of the cast, right, let's get into some of these awards. So if you look on IMDb, it's won a ton of awards, but we'll focus on a couple categories. So the first one was the one that we always talk about, MTV Movie Awards. I didn't see any Blockbuster Entertainment Awards, but the main one that this thing won was it beat a bunch of movies for Best Movie. And it won MTV Movie Award. It won the little spaceman popcorn thing. And let me tell you who it beat. It beat The Rock, starring Nicolas Cage, Sean Connery, right?
Yep.
It beat Jerry Maguire, starring our favorite Tom Cruise.
Okay.
It beat Independence Day, starring Will Smith. And this is like MTV Movie like Hall of Fame here, right?
Yeah.
And then
right up their alley.
The one right up MTV's alley was Romeo and Juliet, starring Claire Danes and Leonardo DiCaprio, like when he was at the top of the world here.
Yeah, man.
This thing was no joke.
Look, it's a great movie. It's not better than Independence Day. Let's not get it twisted, right?
Yeah.
Independence Day is better than this.
Independence Day is a much better movie. Yeah. I would argue that Jerry Maguire is a better movie than this.
Too. Yeah, but not for MTV.
Not for MTV. No. Not for MTV. Yeah. And it also was nominated. Neve Campbell was nominated for Best Female Performance, but she lost to Claire Danes from Romeo and Juliet. So they gave him a little bit of a thing there.
It's fair.
But also Helen Hunt was up for Twister and a couple other movies too. Evita with Madonna, which was a big movie at that time as well.
It's Madonna, MTV Madonna.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's some other awards. I'm not going to go into all of them, but then it won a whole bunch of Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror films in '97.
The Ass Fast Foods.
Yeah, the Ass
Fast Foods. Okay,
it's not a BAFTA, but it's
okay.
Ass Food. So it won a Saturn Award for Best Horror Film, Best Actress Neve Campbell, Best Writer Kevin Williamson, and then Skeet was nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Skeet.
Best Supporting Actress Drew Barrymore, even though she was in it for all 5 minutes. And Best Director for Wes Craven nominated, right? They didn't win those. And then Fangoria Chainsaw Awards, too.
Oh, the Chainies.
So it won Best Wide Release Film, Best Actress Neve Campbell, Best Supporting Actress Drew Barrymore, Best Screenplay Kevin Williamson, and then nominated Skeet Ulrich for Best Supporting Actor. So, look, this thing was big. It was a big deal. And if you were around back in '96, like, you could not have not heard of this movie. And it's permeated pop culture.
I'm going to tangent you real quick here. Did it bother you at all that there was a very famous female actress that was also named Drew? Did it bother you as a kid?
Well, I guess because maybe I was older at the time. I wasn't older, but I think like I'd never really known a girl named Drew at that time. Yeah. So it's kind of weird. And like people would make fun of me that way, even though I'm like, Drew is primarily a guy's name. So
yeah, it's like, what are you talking about? You're an idiot. Yeah.
Like, you're trying to make fun of me with that? Like, of all the things to make fun of me for.
I was wondering if that was ever a thing in school for you, because I didn't know you at that time.
We
didn't even go to the same school.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious.
Well, little do people know about me, but my name is actually just Drew. It's not Andrew.
Don't call him Andrew.
Drew.
You get the hands if you get Andrew.
Well, but it's funny because I don't know if you ever feel this way. Like, Andrew to me is as much of my name as like Matthew is my name. It's just not my name, so I don't even react to it.
Andrew is Andy. I mean, yes. I guess one could argue that Andy is the beginning of Andrew and Drew could be the end of an Andrew.
I know people that are named Andrew that go by Drew, but I am
We
just
call those
Drew.
we call those imposters.
Yes, the imposters. And the thing about it is, I remember talking about being in school. Again, small tangent, but I remember people would be like, Andrew, and like I don't even react. Like, my
no
ears
reaction.
don't even
Yeah.
perk up because I
Yeah.
don't. It's not going to register with me.
Yeah.
And then they get mad at me like I'm not answering. I'm like, oh, I should start calling them like Tim or Bob. Like,
Hey,
it's-
Frankie.
It's not my name, so don't get mad at me. You're the idiot for not knowing my gosh darn name. So
enough.
anyway,
Fair enough.
anyway, moving on. So look, this movie was a big deal, right? We talked about that. Like, you're more of a horror buff than me. Like,
Well-
what is the legacy of this movie? And talk a little bit about that, because this thing, it wasn't a small movie.
Well, I mean, I hate to be called horror buff myself. Of the two of us,
Of the two
I'm
of
the
us,
horror
yeah.
buff. But I'm not myself a horror buff. I dabble. I don't have detailed files. So yeah, this movie was like, it was meta, right? It was
Yeah.
kind of taking the piss out of the horror genre a little bit, but also respecting it, but also acknowledging how ridiculous it is. And it's exactly what we needed at that time, because the horror genre was dying mainstream wise. We weren't getting great selections out of theaters. A lot of it was going direct to video, and that's always going to have the niche. Horror movies don't have to be quote unquote good to be liked, respected, and revered by horror fans. I mean, that might be blasphemous to say for me. That's just my personal opinion, but
No, I think I know what you're not saying that in a disrespectful
Yeah.
way. It's like superhero movies, right?
Yeah.
Like, people are gonna bash them, but the core audience is still gonna enjoy them because they get to see, hey, there's a superhero on the screen, right? Like a horror movie, it's like it's fun. It's fun whether
Yeah.
it's good objectively or not. I know exactly what you're saying.
So if we're looking at the releases over the last couple of years of horror, 94, 95, we're getting New Nightmare, which is, I don't know, the freaking 10th Nightmare on Elm Street
Yeah.
movie. We got a Jason movie, a Michael Myers movie, Halloween, Curse of Michael Myers, which, I don't know,
I don't even remember that one coming
5,
out.
6 deep. We got Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which is barely a horror movie, more so just like a monster
Yeah.
movie. The Crow, Leprechaun 2 and 3 over the last 2 years. It's like these tired movies or these rehashes, these reboots. Wolf, and again, we're doing the monster movie thing. Puppet Master 5. Like, I'm just going down this list here, guys.
Is this before or after Jason annexed Manhattan? Is this like
Jason had already acquired
he
Manhattan.
took it, right? So
He
he's already
yeah,
got it.
It was already in his pocket at this point.
He's got it.
Yeah.
He's already there.
Tales from the Hood, which is an anthology film, which I actually really enjoy.
Yeah.
I rewatched that on the regular. Species, Tales
Oh,
from the
that's-
Crypt, Demon Knight,
Species is like a sci-fi horror,
Yeah.
right?
Village of the Damned. Like, these are all like B style movies. Like, I mean, I'm even going to put in those, Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween sequels in there, because at that point, like, what are we getting at this point? Like, what are
Yeah.
we getting?
Well, I
So-
would even argue, like, I know it's like relevant right now, but like Halloween now, like, look, again, I'm gonna blaspheme a lot of people, but like, do we really need another one? And everyone's like really upset that it's bad, but how many times, and maybe this is me just gonna get blasted here, but how many times can Michael Myers like do the same thing? And I'm not saying that they
No, I
shouldn't
get
make
it.
another one,
So
but if it's not good, you're gonna get another one anyway. Who cares?
here's the thing, and I'm going to say this without spoiling because it's still relatively new. Halloween Ends, we're talking about here. So the Halloween Ends is the end of a new trilogy of Halloween movies. So it's like the reboot came in 2018. That was referenced earlier on the budget, right? Halloween Ends is the ending to that trilogy. And what's ironic about that is that they took some liberties. They took different steps to end it. I'm afraid to say too much because I don't want to spoil it for anybody
Yeah.
that wants to see it. And it got bashed for not being the same old thing, right? I didn't think the movie was very good, and I liked the other two, but it's funny how if you stray too far away from what people are comfortable with, they're going to bash you for it. So, but in this case with Scream, like, all these movies are very similar in the fact that they're very B quality-ish, kind of ridiculous, borderlining between direct-to-video, bad at the box office, all that stuff. So here's Scream, a fresh new movie about a slasher, redefining the slasher genre, made by the master of horror himself, Wes Craven, and bringing famous young actors and actresses in to revitalize the genre, and it freaking worked.
He did a great job with it. And there's so many self-aware jokes and self-aware references to other films in this that, like, it works. And
Yeah.
and I'm not a huge horror fan, as everyone knows. Like, I'll watch them, but this movie works on a lot of levels. I think you get the fans that appreciate what horror is and these slasher films are, and then you get the fans that also are maybe more casual like me, where it's like, hey, this is just a fun movie, and it kind of pokes fun at itself. It's got some, popular actors at the time. Now, I don't know, are there people that like rebelled against this at the time where they thought it was making a mockery, or was it because it was Wes Craven, they knew it was more respectful? Like, if it was some random guy, maybe they would be upset about it. Like, if you're a fan.
I mean, the Wes Craven, you got to figure he's going to respect the genre, and he did. There were tons of references in this movie to a lot of horror movies past, a lot of characters within his own Wes Craven's own world. But it was never done to like degrade or to mock. It's always in in homage to it.
Yeah.
And the Randy character especially kind of like plays into that a lot. But no, it was all for the good. And I think they, it's hard to make this movie and toe that line, but who better than a guy like Wes Craven to do it? It's something that probably hasn't been done since until Cabin in the Woods, which
that's true.
Was the next movie to kind of do this meta horror movie and get it exactly right. And it's kind of a good thing that not too many people try to do this, because you can only have so many of these types of movies within a time frame. I feel like there needs to be spacing to truly appreciate the next one.
Yeah, you can't have meta everything, and then it's like, what is the real thing that it's even
all of a
commenting
sudden,
on?
Then how do you meta?
Yeah,
at that point
you don't.
Yeah.
I thought I saw this too, and I don't know if you saw this, but the original title for this thing was called Scary Movie, which got renamed after, I think, Dimension got bought, and they renamed it to Scream. But it was funny because, like, obviously all of the parody films called Scary Movie, and we don't talk about that a lot, but the spoof genre is something that I don't think is done enough, and it's not done well anymore. Like Loaded Weapon, we talk about Naked Gun, like all these movies, and I actually like the first couple Scary Movies. I think they're pretty funny.
Yeah, it's funny that this also revitalized the spoof genre as well.
Yeah.
So the Scary Movie 2, both were very good, I thought. And then after that, they just went downhill. They got a lot lazier. Then they went superhero movie, and then we went, I don't know, epic movie and all that crap.
Yeah.
And every genre ever, and super lazy to the point of unwatchable.
And not Another Teen Movie is probably my favorite of all of them,
yeah.
because I think it's really good, and it has Captain America in it. So
yeah.
And talking about like the meta aspect of this thing, as you heard in the beginning with Jamie Kennedy's character, talking about these rules. Like, that's a thing, right? And it seems obvious because he's referencing, I think, Halloween as it's on the TV, but like, what are those rules, and like, why? Like, do all of these movies use this then? Is that like a thing? It's a known thing, right?
Yeah, I can't speak for all horror movies ever, but yeah, that's the kind of thing where, if there's always like the final girl, they call it the final girl, and the final girl's a virgin, or she's virginly. She's not shown on screen having sex. She's considered, nice, pure girl. And it's always a girl. I don't know why, but it always is. It's just, I don't know, maybe damsel in distress who eventually is empowered and beats the guy at the end. It's killer, monster, whatever it may be. But yeah, so this movie kind of turned it on its head, Sidney, Nev Campbell, ended up having sex in the movie with the killer.
Yeah.
And she survived. She lived to tell the tale. She subverted that. Never drink or do drugs. Yeah, everyone was drinking in this movie. Some died, some didn't. Let's, turn that on its head. And only one person said, "I'll be right back." And he was gone. He was out of it. You can't break rule 3.
You can't break rule 3. Yeah, well, even you mentioned Cabin in the Woods. They referenced a lot of these too, I think, because I mean it was really on the nose, like even more so than this, right? I remember watching that movie in the theater, which is a great movie, by the way. I really like that one. So let's do this. We could talk about the plot easily, but I think, as we tend to do here, let's talk a little bit about some of the people. And I think an interesting way to do this, as you and I had discussed, might be like, as you watch this the first time, now you obviously got spoiled by your friend before you saw it, but as you were watching it, who were you thinking was the killer? They try to certainly trick you multiple times throughout the film.
Yeah.
And when you watch this, there's a lot of like, I don't know, what are they called? MacGuffins and red herrings.
Red herrings,
these kind of things. And
I like MacGuffins. Is that a real term?
I thought I'd heard it before. I don't know.
I like that.
Magoos.
There's a lot of
MacGuffins. So it's a ghouls and MacGuffins and magoos
don't get me started on the ghouls again.
on ghouls. Yeah, but so then we talk about a little bit about who the killer is. Let's talk about some of these characters, and as we talk about them, did you think they were going to die? Did you think they were the killer? And maybe we'll just touch on a little bit about them as we go through. And we got to start with Drew Barrymore's character because look, there's this iconic scene in the beginning, and it's like that was. Like, I don't know, when they release like 5 minutes of a movie before the movie comes out, I don't know that they did that, but I feel like they probably may have, and they probably should have.
The trailer was heavily.
It was her, right?
Her scene was heavily used. Now they didn't spoil any like possible her getting killed in the first 10 minutes, but yeah, a lot of the trailer was of look at Drew Barrymore, she's being terrorized by this phone call killer. Yeah,
and as we go through these two, let's talk about how they died and maybe like. Maybe how would you got away and like was it a brutal death? Because so it was her and her boyfriend for this, and we should mention that she's joining the Last Row Podcast 3-Timers Club.
Oh,
right. This is every single one she's been in. Well, she was in The Wedding Singer and she was prominently featured there, but and Batman Forever she was sort of a supporting.
I don't think she might have had one line in that movie. Yeah,
and then this she's sort of maybe it's her second thing, but she's in the 3-Timers Club now. But like she's answering the phone here. Like, what did you think about her in this? And did you think she was going to die? Did you think she was going to survive it? Like, walk me through this.
So this is a big risk not seen since Executive Decision with Steven Seagal, right?
Yeah,
where you got a big actor here, and you're expecting Drew Barrymore to be in this movie, and she's dead within the first 10 minutes
in an instant
scene. before the title card, dead in an instant, right?
Some would say. I
mean, were you surprised? Or were you like, oh, that's kind of cool? Or
the first time I saw it, because she's a very famous actress. But I guess when hey, she's answering the phone, like she's probably gonna die.
Yeah, she's not in a good spot, is she? She's not in a great spot.
She's in the beginning. It's like, it's like, what is that? The Broncos Seahawks Super Bowl when just Manning got crushed in the first like 2 minutes, and they were down like multiple points.
This isn't gonna go well, is it?
They're probably not gonna win this game right now. She's answering the phone. She's getting sacked. She's getting. Like she's probably not going to win this game right now.
Popcorn's on fire. She's not answering questions.
She's probably going to wind up disemboweled and hung from a tree here. And lo and behold, that's what happens. But the whole thing with like, it sets up the guise of the movie, and the premise of the movie is the killer. And you mentioned this meta aspect of it. The killer's related to horror movies, and we got to talk about a couple things here, like the voice changer, like the way that they were asking the movie questions, like, and if she gets them right, he'll let her go. Like, did you believe that if she got him right, she would actually be let go?
I think you got to have some honor in this game, right?
Yeah.
I feel like you got to just dial the next number. You got the boyfriend tied up. You're asking the girl questions. If she gets them right, you know what? Good for you.
Yeah, good for you.
I'll have to go next door and terrorize them.
Go down the street.
You go through all that trouble, but you got to ask harder questions.
What did you think of the way that he asked her? Because she got tricked, right?
Yeah. Well, under duress, if someone asks you who's the killer in Friday the 13th, everyone's going to say Jason.
Of course.
But if it's in a non-stressful life or death setting, you can think back and go, oh yeah, that was Jason's mother. Yeah, Jason's mother was a killer. Yeah, that's right. But under that stress, she was hiding behind the TV, just curled up in the fetal position. Yeah, you're gonna get that one wrong.
What should she have done here? Because I gotta tell you, like, this was pathetic, in my opinion. Like, it was pathetic.
She didn't put up a good fight to you?
No, because let me break this down. Because first off, she's in the house, ready to watch some scary movie, and you might argue with me on this, but I don't care what area you live in, like, all of her doors were unlocked. And as this phone rings and she's flirting with some random dude on the phone, like, who absolutely sounds like a serial killer. Like, it's obvious, right? She's frantically rushing around to lock every door in her house. It's like, you're home alone. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't care what area you live in. Like, I'm just naturally like, I don't want some random person accidentally opening my door. Like, it's not gonna happen.
It was the 90s, man. I left my doors unlocked all the time in the 90s.
I'm a paranoid guy. Like, I'm locking all the doors. I'm not hiding, but I'm locking the door. Like,
but it didn't matter anyway because he got in by throwing a damn chair through the window. So
I know, but it could have slowed her down.
See,
which instead of calling the cops, she's running around locking the doors.
See, that was the fatal flaw right there. It's the parents' fault for having a glass house.
The glass house.
They say don't throw stones in a glass house. Don't throw chairs at a glass house. If you have a glass house or like a house with like access just by breaking glass, like I don't want to live in that house.
Yeah.
I want like steel shutters.
You
I don't want
panic
any
room?
windows. I want no windows. I need a panic room.
You want panic room?
Yeah, especially if you're living that in she was in a farm, like there was farmland.
Yeah.
Like you're secluded from, like you can scream all you want for help. No one's going to hear you. I'm not putting glass windows like ceiling to floor.
You need that nice view though.
You're asking for it. You're freaking asking for it, man.
Speaking of glass houses and a really, really deep, deep, deep cut here.
Yeah.
From a horror genre. Remember that movie 13 Ghosts?
Oh yeah.
Didn't they have a crazy glass house or something? And
yeah,
it
but
was
you
like the
couldn't
end of the
break
movie?
through that glass though. It was there were spells on the glass to which the ghosts couldn't penetrate.
It was imbued with magic. Like,
Yeah, you got to get the magic. If you're gonna have
magic
glass,
glass.
you got to have the magic glass. Yeah,
magic
come on.
glass. They don't sell that in Woodboro, California, or whatever the
No.
heck this place is.
No.
But I just think, look, I think it was pathetic. So she held herself hostage on the phone. At any moment, she's like, you better stop or I'm going to hang up and call the police.
Yeah.
Like as they continue to threaten and threaten. And again, I get it. It's a meta commentary on movies. I'm not trying to break down the logic here, but I'm also going to break down the logic here. Like at what point do you just say, hey, you know what? I better break down, cut this call the police. I don't care if he says, well, they'll never get there. Don't you think you should try?
You give it a shot. Yeah, right.
Like what are the chances?
Yeah. And here's the other thing. If you just hang up and don't play his game, like you don't get the satisfaction. He's
Yeah.
going to kill you anyway.
Hey,
don't,
man.
don't give him the satisfaction.
This is the thing, right? You can't fail if you don't try. So
Right.
don't try the game because, hey, you get this question right, I'll let you live. You get it wrong, you lose. What if I don't answer at all? I'm just going to hang up. Call someone else. The phone's
Yeah.
busy. You can't call.
Now, on my side of it, if I were her, I mean, I would give up instantly. You know my theory on being
You're
stalked
going to
by
the
a
turtle
killer.
shell?
Yeah, I'm just gonna pack it in. Like, do what you will with my body. I can't fight this.
Donate it to science.
It's more of a laziness thing than anything. It's like, oh, I gotta run for this killer. I'm probably not as fast as him. He's got a weapon. I don't. Just take me. Just take me.
Yeah. Just end it. End my
Yeah.
misery.
Yeah.
So you don't think you could survive these guys? Because look, I have a lot to say about these guys, but I think they're amateurs.
I wouldn't assume I could take the unknown, entity that's out there, right?
Right.
But if I know that it's a couple of punk teenagers, or if I give them one shot and they go down easily, then I'm like, all right, what are we dealing with here? If it's just a fight and the only advantage is they have a knife, I could probably get that knife from them.
Yeah. You could do it. And I feel like that knife too, look, it's like weak. Like they should have.
Well, it was cool though. Like that's part of the. We'll get to it in look and style, but it had like the little slivers to it. It kind of looked like voodoo-ish,
Fair enough. I just feel like I'm not saying I can escape random killers, but I think these guys are weak. I think and not even high school guy. You see a guy in that mask, they can't see out of that mask.
No
Like,
peripheral. No
Throw
peripheral.
a chair at them. I don't know. Do
Yeah.
something. Like they can't. They're going to trip in the robes.
Yeah, we'll get more into it when we get to Billy
All right.
and what's his face.
Let's talk about Sidney. So Sidney's the main character of the movie. The whole
Surprise, Sidney.
backstory there is that her mom got assaulted and murdered years ago. It's about a year ago, right? Is what it was.
It's about the anniversary. The anniversary is coming up.
So she's
So,
certainly
yeah.
tortured soul. What do you think of the character of Sidney and sort of what's going on here?
Yeah, she's clearly traumatized by the event. She's got a boyfriend who she's keeping a 10-foot full distance between, as to not touch him, which might lead one to murder one day. So
so
that's
frustrated.
It's neither here nor there. But what I want to talk about is okay. So she's got the dead mother, right?
Mhm.
And it's the
She
1 year
died.
anniversary. It's the 1 year anniversary of the mother dying. Now she's got a father who's in the house, who, by the way, the house setup with the closet blocking the door.
Yeah.
That's like an all-time security system.
That is.
No one's getting through that.
It's like you could put a chair under the door or
Yeah.
put that there, but that's a genius move.
Put the door next to the door. No one's getting in that door.
Hey, you can have your boyfriend
Yeah.
sneak in and hook up with him while you
Yeah,
get the
so
door there.
The boyfriend snuck in, and the dad like, hey, what's going on? He tried to get in. Closet door on door. You're not in front. She could be banging the dude right there. The dad wouldn't be able to see.
The balls on the guy to sneak in
Yeah.
with the dad next door. Sorry, can't do it.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, tangent myself. 1 year anniversary of the mother dying, the father losing his wife, right?
Yes.
What's he doing?
Business trip, right?
Where's he going?
He's got to get his mind off of it.
Oh, by the way, poor old Drew Barrymore, Casey Becker was just brutally slaughtered
Disemboweled.
24 hours ago.
Hung from a tree.
Basically their neighbor. So we're just going to leave your teenage daughter home alone? Not only for the emotional distress of being alone, parentless on the 1 year anniversary of her mother dying, but 2, murder just happened. Who is this dad?
Are you going where I think you're going?
Is he a bad father barometer?
Yeah. Bust it out.
It is. The bad father barometer is just chiming and chiming.
Yeah. It's
put him on the list.
It's going off because, but you know what? In fairness to him, maybe he's got to deal with, he's going to bury himself in his work. He should have set up some situation where she could go to her aunts or something. He's
going to bury his daughter prematurely when she's dead from serial killers is what he's going to bury.
I really agree. And like, I guess I didn't mention this, but as we go through these, we got to say like what happens to the person. Like she's obviously alive at the end of this movie because she's in all 20 of these movies and shows and everything else, right? But I agree with you. Bad father barometer, busted out.
Dude.
Put him on the list.
You don't go to business. You tell the business to go screw themselves. This is a very hard time for me and my daughter. I need to be with her. Oh, by the way, her safety is in danger.
What do you think about the whole thing? Maybe it ties more into the villain scale and all that stuff, but she's clearly not okay with what happened with her mom, right? As you could understand, like she mentioned, she's like a trauma survivor. She has PTSD and all this other stuff. Her mom got assaulted. We'll talk about Gail Weathers in a second too, but there's obviously some tension about whether her mom, what happened with the killer, right? Cotton.
Yeah, she eyewitnessed the killer leaving the building or whatever, and she ID'd this guy Cotton Weary who may or may not be guilty.
And she seems shaky on that herself as she thinks about this.
I don't think she's sure that he did it. She's pretty sure,
right?
But she knows she's not 100% sure. But you got to have somebody to blame, and that was at the very least they her mom was banging Cotton Weary on the side. At the very least, whether it was consensual or not, she couldn't prove. So she went with he must be the killer.
And I don't. We have to talk about that in a minute, but I don't even know what's going on with that situation because Cotton Weary's like, is that a student? Like he seemed like a student, and I have stuff to say about that. We'll come back to it, but so should we talk about Billy because Sidney's obviously the main character of the movie, but I don't know what more to say about it. Right? She just sort of survives everything, and we'll talk more about it in the end, I guess, but. We got to talk about Skeet Ulrich, a.k.a. Brian Ray Trout.
Who?
I was like, man, what is Skeet short for? Is it short for like Scott or
Skeeter?
Skeeter?
Scott. There's Scott and Skeet. His brother's name is Scott. Oh, that's Scott and Skeet. Skeet has to be the younger brother.
I had to look this up, and he.
Oh, who's
Brian
younger?
Ray Trout.
Who's younger? Skeet Ulrich or Scoot Ulrich?
Skeet.
There's Scott. Scott's the oldest brother.
Skeet.
Then you got Skeet and Scoot.
Skeet is the youngest because I feel like it sounds like a little kid, like Skeet.
Yeah, but Scoot's like a little pest, right?
Scoot.
He's scooting.
Scooter. I think Skeet's the younger one.
All right, so it's Scott, Scoot, Skeet. Got it.
This dude looks guilty from 5 miles away.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes, he does.
And I gotta say, by the way, Skeet Ulrich is awesome. Like I wish he was in more stuff because he plays the hell out of Billy Loomis. Let me tell you, like he has that. You don't know whether he's evil, but you know he's evil, and it's like, wait, this guy can't be the killer. Like it's obvious, right? It's obvious that he's the killer. Like it's obvious. But then they trick you like 50 times. So like, was there any point during this? And obviously, forget the fact that Mike spoiled this for you.
Yeah.
But did you think that he was the killer originally when you were watching this? Like, what went through your head?
Yes, having the it's spoiled whether or not we knew he was lying or not. Just watching the movie, he's super sinister. The way he references movies, it's almost like romantic. It's almost like he's like, yes. It's like when Silence of the Lambs, when Hannibal Lecter did this. Yeah.
He's like psychopathic, right?
Yeah. So where Jamie Kennedy's character was more analytic when it comes to referencing movies, he was more passionate about it.
Yeah.
Where it's like he really like got it. He's like you felt half a chub when he was talking about it.
It's weird, right? And they have a couple moments in the movie when he gets taken away. He sneaks through the window and he drops a cell phone. And the cop's like, "Son, what are you doing with a cellular telephone?" It's like he's not allowed to have one.
Yeah. Well,
But
1996.
like he looks. I mean, this guy looks like 96 too. By the way, he's like
Yeah.
a 96.
That hair, man. It's
good hair.
Yeah.
I wish I had hair like that. It's good hair. Like, but I think they definitely got me with Billy. And,
Yeah.
he winds up dead, which we'll talk about. Got stabbed by his friend, shot in the arm, and then in the head. Kind of a brutal death. But I don't know.
By the way, failed to mention that this is Skeet Ulrich's second appearance on The Last Row, the first one being uncredited Thug in TMNT 1990.
Smoking cigarettes with
So,
Danny, hanging out with...
If you recall, in the arcade.
child predator, a.k.a. Shredder,
Yeah.
stealing young men and taking them into his gang. It's like...
Yeah.
Like Mr. Mac over here.
Also, Billy Loomis. Loomis is definitely an homage to the Halloween franchise.
Yeah.
Dr. Loomis.
Dr.
So,
Loomis.
nice touch there.
Yeah. Well, what about Dewey? Talk about David Arquette, because David Arquette is in my opinion one of the most underrated actors. I love David Arquette.
I thought you were gonna go. David Arquette is one of the best actors of our generation. Like I thought you were going there.
No.
Okay.
I think he's awesome though. I actually love him. I think he's hilarious, and I like him in this movie. I think he plays the hell out of Dewey. Like I think he does a great job with this. But what does this guy have any respect? Like, what's his deal?
He's got no respect. Well, he's a little twerp. Look at him. Like
Deputy.
He goes, what does he tell Gail? He goes, "My boyish good looks makes me have to work out or something."
Mustache or no mustache? Like, does it make it?
He
needs
needs the
mustache.
If he doesn't have the mustache, then what is he, 12? Like, come on.
He's gotta look older.
Yeah. Like I find that really hard to like in the precinct.
Yeah, the precinct in the office.
Him getting just shit from his sister, who like you can't do anything about it. You can't arrest her. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So how's the man supposed to have respect if he's got a 16-year-old girl just berating him and putting him down?
It reminds me of Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg fighting with his brother. When his brother's like, "Mom, tell him to stop," and he's the cop. It's like,
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. But at any point did you think that Dewey was the killer? Because they set that up a couple times as well.
They tried, but it seemed like too on the nose, jump scary. Kind of like, oh, that's weird how he showed up there. It was too obvious. Like it was definitely trying to throw off the set.
Yeah, I think it was obvious. You're right.
Yeah.
If it was him, it's like, well, it can't be him. Like it can't be him.
And I hate to go back to Billy, but I forgot to ask you this: when he got arrested originally, and later, discharged, did that throw you off, or did you still have an inkling that it was him?
The first time I saw it, I was like, okay, well, I guess they checked the phone records, right? Yeah. And it wasn't him. I was like, oh, okay. And I never thought there would be a second guy. Like, there was
never a hint that there's two guys.
Right. Yeah. That is what made this movie kind of genius. Like they had the pairs. It's like the sniper and the sniper buddy, like the spotter. Like I think that was a good twist with this, right? And spoiler alert, 30 years later, if you haven't seen this, sorry.
Yeah. We've already done it.
But so Dewey winds up alive, right? By the end of the movie, he gets stabbed in the back and has some type of damage or something. But like, I think we need to talk about him and Gale Weathers together because there's this sort of underlying romance. They're obviously married in real life. They're still married, right?
I don't know if still, but they were sure
for a very long time.
Yeah,
but
they might still be. I don't know.
You got Courtney Cox, very famous at the time as well. Friends fame and all this stuff.
Oh yeah, from Ace Ventura and also Friends.
Yeah, and sure. But playing Gale Weathers, which is like the perfect name. Like she even makes a meta joke about it herself, about how she sounds like a meteorologist, and that's all I can think about the whole time. But like, who is her real life equivalent? If you like think of somebody,
I don't know. I think we were talking about this earlier, and you mentioned Geraldo.
Yeah, Geraldo Rivera.
However the hell you say his name.
Yeah.
You got to get in depth. You got to get the scoop.
It's like Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal too.
Yeah.
Like scummy sort of. What was her show called?
Action News Now. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think. What did you think with her? So there's a couple of relationships here. There's her and Sidney, and her and Dewey. Let's talk about her and Sidney first. There's some tension here.
Big time. So she wants to get to the bottom of this whole, Miss Prescott and Cotton Weary case, right? She, for whatever reason, knows that Cotton Weary is innocent. and was wrongfully accused and fingered by Sidney. I guess she's had multiple interviews with him while in jail. His story kind of checks out. He doesn't deviate from his story. Even when sentenced to murder, he's not backing down. He's not admitting anything. And yeah, so that obviously that rubs. I mean, it would rub me the wrong way if I were Sidney. Saying, "What are you talking about? This guy killed my mom." I'm pretty sure she did. Did he?
Yeah.
I
She
don't
wrote
know.
a book, right? Like there was a whole tell-all book, and
Yeah, and she's monetizing off of it. Like that's a whole thing, right?
it's kind of
Where
scummy.
like, yeah. Where do some of the proceeds, come to help Sidney out? Even though they're clearly doing fine. Look at the house they're living in.
Right.
Come on. Jeez.
She seemed very like scummy. It just seemed like a Nightcrawler kind of reporting situation.
Chasing the scoop, no matter who you hurt in all the way.
I mean, you look at some of her tactics too. Like she put a hidden camera in the house. Like
Yeah.
and this is where it gets interesting, right? With the Dewey piece, was she actually into Dewey or was she using him? Like I couldn't tell if there was like an angle there.
I honestly don't think she was into Dewey until like the very end when Dewey's being wheeled into the ambulance.
Yeah.
Even when they have the scene where they almost get run off the road and they dive onto each other and they share a kiss there, I think that kiss is her continuing to play along.
Yeah, because she was using him to get access to the places. He was asking her to come along with him, and like I couldn't tell when the feelings hit. But
I think once the situation became real to her, where she was like realized her life was in danger, and she saw that Dewey was hurt, I think that's when it like snapped that, oh yeah, I do care for this guy.
what do you think about her driving skills?
Well,
Because I got a lot to say about this.
I don't care so much for her braking skills.
That news guy was clearly the stunt driver of the duo, the camera guy. Sorry, that got brutally murdered.
When you're heading straight for a tree and you put your hands up over your face in a crossing manner, that's when you know you're about to get effed up. Big time.
You know when you like, she had plenty of time to swerve or to hit the brakes or to even dive out of the door.
Eject.
Like, I wish I could post a video of this because talk about Drew Barrymore dying in a pathetic way. Like the most pathetic scene of the movie is that car, the news van, just bouncing down the hill like a tin can, and her just and the way that she hit, like at least hold the steering wheel, brace yourself for impact. Yeah. She took her hands back and like put them up like 50 feet before she hit the tree. She gave up.
Was it Austin Powers?
Yeah,
where the guy's like, ah.
That's what it was.
It's like so far away.
It was such an Austin Powers moment, and I feel like it was just way too soon.
Yeah, and after she miraculously survives that harrowing crash, she shows back up, and then one of my favorite lines of the movie was when Billy tells Stu, "Hey, I thought you said she was dead," and Stu goes, "She looked dead, still does." What a bird! What a dig!
She did actually look pretty dead there. She looked really messed up. But
pretty haggard. She looked
if you're gonna run your car into a tree like that and not even try to swerve out of the way, I mean, come on, that's pretty bad.
I would assume she's dead.
So the other character that I don't think we've ever had him on here. We've referenced him, but is Randy Meeks, Jamie Kennedy. 90s, I don't want to say connoisseur. He's not a connoisseur. 90s a Hall of Famer, I guess.
Yeah. And more
Son
of like
the Mask himself.
I guess I get, and also like a more successful Pauly Shore, maybe.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Pauly Shore was hot, man. He was on the top of the world.
Yeah, for like three years.
He
was a scorching hot 3 years.
I feel like that's
all right, maybe not more successful. Maybe more
he was a
socially normal.
Yeah.
Maybe a more socially normal Pauly Shore.
Less of a joke. And I don't mean that no disrespect to Pauly Shore, but I think the world looked at Pauly Shore as like a fad. And I don't think Jamie Kennedy he never hit the peak.
Yeah, because Pauly Shore had a gimmick.
Right. And Jamie Kennedy was in some of these movies, but he never hit the peak of enough of Pauly Shore to become like a quote, a joke. Yeah. Even though, what's that movie? Heckler? He is like a famous scene where he's referencing like the way that the critics just destroy his life about how he's like the worst person ever for making Son of the Mask, I think it was.
Yeah.
Were you a fan of Kennedy in the 90s? Like, I feel like most people were, right?
Sure. The Jamie Kennedy Experience.
Yeah.
The prank show.
He was funny.
They don't do prank shows anymore.
No.
But yeah, he was the precursor to Ashton.
Yeah, Punked.
Punked.
I liked him. I thought he was funny. And I wish he was. I don't know if he's doing stuff now. Haven't paid attention to it, but I wish he was around more. I liked him in the movie too.
I perused his IMDb. Yeah, he's in things, but like, bit roles, kind of picking his spots.
Did you like? And at any point, did you think that he was the killer?
No, I thought that he was clearly too. I don't know. I don't want to say weak because that's easy. He was like a geek and all that. There was the whole Sidney aspect of it, though. He openly had a crush on Sidney.
Yeah, he liked her.
Yeah. So maybe there could have been a jealousy thing there, but they never once foreshadowed him as being jealous or having rage or anything like that. They kept him pretty virginal, which played into the rules of the movie.
Right.
So there you go.
I like you, Sidney. Days, nights,
Sidney.
holiday, weekends, holidays. That's a deep cut there. Yeah. Back in episode 5 or something. Yeah. So go back and listen to that. But I liked how they used him as sort of the conduit for the rules, and I think he was a nice contrast. So he winds up alive. He got clipped in the shoulder, and I should have mentioned that we didn't talk about what's her name, Dewey and Gail. They both are alive too, right? So by the end of the movie, but Randy Jamie Kennedy is a nice contrast to the character of Stu Matthew Lillard, whereas you mentioned earlier with Skeet Ulrich's character, where he's almost like getting off on the films and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like Matthew Lillard was also sort of getting off on the murder, and it was like you look at the two of them together, they were sort of the same character, but one was more evil version in a way.
One was cooler. Yeah, one was cooler, one was geekier, one was good, one was evil. And yeah, you got the feeling that there was something wrong with Stu like immediately, right?
He looked off.
Yeah.
He looked a little off.
And when we find out that he's partners with Billy, there's no reason why other than he just wants to do it. Like it's just like it's a fun thing to do.
Yeah. And we should mention Return of him, right, from Summer Catch.
Oh yeah. Big fan of Summer Catch. But yeah, I thought the scene in the video store was pretty awesome, where you have Jamie Kennedy kind of confiding in Lillard about him thinking that Billy Loomis is the killer. Stu obviously knows that they're both the killer. So he's kind of like leaning into it. And then you got Billy overhearing it. And then Billy comes in and is very sinister about it. So it's kind of like it's like having two devils on a shoulder versus an angel and a devil. Like I thought that was very well done.
I think when you look at the way this movie was done, I mean, there's a lot of layers to it. For as simple as it is, it's almost like the onion layers, right? You peel back the onion and all that stuff. Like that scene that you specifically referenced was actually mastercraft, I feel, because there's so much being said in that one scene without like spoiling it, and watching it, knowing what the ending is. It's obvious in that moment. It's like, oh, geez, like that's pretty cool.
And they're doing callbacks and references to other horror movies all throughout it. Yep,
that's why
the video store itself. So it's kind of like it's the scene of the crime kind of thing.
That's why I feel like the respect that this movie gets, like it does deserve what it gets because it's done so well. So, but he winds up dead, right? Like, how does he die again?
He first of all, he's bleeding out because Billy stabbed him too many times when they're trying to get away with their plot, their master plan, which we'll talk about. And then he eventually gets into a fight with Sidney, and he gets a TV dropped on his head.
I have a lot to say about that fight. We'll hold it for a second, but let's talk about Tatum Riley, which is Rose McGowan's character, another super 90s actress, right? Mm-hmm. She was in a few other things, but I don't really have much to say about her.
I got something to say.
Go ahead.
Major 90s crush on Rose McGowan, Tatum, especially this character. I don't know, something about the name Tatum was like, ooh. That's kind of new. That's new. And she clearly, it was cold in that set. It was clearly cold.
Yeah. Was that a Wes Craven thing? Was he asking about that?
It might have been. I'll tell you what, it was pretty obvious. But yeah, with Rose McGowan, this movie and another movie called Jawbreaker. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
I've never seen that. I know what you're talking about. But
it's like a dark comedy. It borderlines on horror, but it's like dark comedy. Rose McGowan, I don't know, something about her. But yeah, as far as this movie goes, she's sidekick, right?
Right. She's like her best friend. That's it.
Not much to it. She's smart, but she doesn't have a lot to do in the movie besides eventually.
Do you wish she had a bigger role? And at any point did you think that she was the killer?
No, she was clearly just like in her own world,
Right.
But she's loyal. She was a loyal friend, and she was mainly good. No bad qualities.
When she went in to get the beer, like, was it obvious what was going to happen?
Oh yeah. And here, let me tell you something about the beer. All right, you got a party like that going on. That it's okay to have a beer fridge.
Yeah,
as long as it's not a problem to get to the fridge,
it's like,
right?
It's 20 minutes to go get a beer.
Yeah, that fridge is so far away. If the party host, which was Stu, which he probably he didn't care, and maybe he was setting up this kill, so maybe spoiled him.
That's why he did it.
You move the food from the real fridge to the garage fridge, and then the kitchen fridge becomes the beer fridge.
You make a temporary swap.
It's worth it for your guests. You don't make the guests walk a mile to your damn garage.
It's faster to drive to the beer distributor.
Again, it's fine. Like in your house, we never had parties in your house or anything like that.
No.
But your fridge was the soda fridge in your house.
Yeah.
But your garage was right next to the kitchen. So it wasn't a trek, right? This was clearly a problem.
Yeah.
You have to go so far away from the party to get some beers.
They're better off driving to the beer store, get some more beer.
Yeah.
It's colder.
Big foul.
But maybe we need to give him an extra point on the genius for the plan, because maybe it was on purpose.
Yeah, he set this up. Maybe the last party they did, the kitchen fridge was the beer. But now that it's a killer party, let's include some people.
A killer party. Whoever goes to get the beer, you know what? They're going to get the... I think you raise a good point, though. 100% agreed. Yeah. And as a result, right, she winds up dead in a doggy cat door as a garage door crusher. Like, get that garage door looked out, man. I got to get maintenance on my garage door. They check the little laser. Maybe it's 96. They didn't have the laser.
Yeah, pretty pathetic. And you know why they make those doggy doors so small? It's so that people can't get in.
Yeah, that's true.
So they're not going to get it. She's not going to get out.
She's certainly not getting out.
Certainly not getting out.
If they're not getting in, she's not getting out.
Yeah. She may think she's a size 0, but she's not a size 0.
Would you have tried that? Like, you're better off kicking the door down.
No, you're better off fighting. You're better off fighting the guy.
I think, look, I just have a lot to say about this, and we'll get to it in a second. I keep saying that, but I feel like I could take these guys. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not a fighter, but I feel like I could take them.
So Tatum, I feel like, had the best chance to fight him off because she had weapons. Like all those beers, you get one thrown at the head at a right angle, the kid knockout. It's a knockout.
Yeah, or crack a bottle and stab him with the bottle,
or like at least something to deflect the knife with. You have weapons.
I agree. She didn't even try. She just ran away.
I think this movie is just a continual. It's a fight or flight thing, and most people choose flight. Yeah. Like if you have a maniac coming at you, you're assuming that they're all powerful and strong. But really, if you break it down, it's like it's just a fight. You know, I could win this fight.
Have you ever
worn the unknown?
Have you ever worn a scream mask? You had one, right? I feel like everyone had one.
My sister might have had one. Therefore, I had one.
I had one of those before it was in this movie. Like I think I had it.
Oh, okay. It did exist
because it existed,
prior.
Right?
Yeah,
it did, and I remember having it. And let me tell you, man, you can't see jack shit out of that mask. I'm just being honest. Like it's impossible to see, and he's in a dark garage. Like, just go after him. Know that John Doe has the upper hand. You got the upper hand right now.
John Doe got the upper hand now.
You got the upper hand here. And you go after him. Like, if you wear that mask, you know you can't see out of it. I'm sorry. It's like impossible to see out of that thing. Yeah. It's so hard.
Yeah. I don't know.
So
it's like anytime there's a fight, right? It's always like you don't know who can fight and who can't fight.
Yeah.
The aggressor or the defender, it's like, I don't know. This person coming at me could be really tough or he could be a wimp. You know, and vice versa. The fighter is assuming I'm a wimp, but you might get a fight. You don't know.
Right. I don't know. I'm typically a flight person. I'm not a fight person. But I don't know why in this movie I feel like I would absolutely try to take him on head on. And maybe it's because I've got the advantage of wearing that mask before and I know. Yeah. But I just feel like I don't know. Anyway, she's dead. She's done. Bye. But then you got honorable mention here, which we can't go. We got to talk about Billy in a second here in the villain scale. But Principal Henry Winkler.
Yes.
The Fonz himself. Coach whatever from the Waterboy. Dead, stabbed in his office. I mean, come on. Like, did you think he was the killer? Because I did for a hot second.
For a second, when he was threatening those students with the scissors, I was like, whoa, a little aggressive there, buddy.
They set it up that he was a hard ass, too.
You may be expelling these kids, but they might turn around and sue your ass. Hold on a sec.
Yeah.
Careful
you can't do that these days. Yeah. You can't do that anymore at all. Yeah. Then he like he was going to try the outfit on and all that stuff or whatever. He was like, got the thing and just trying to be tough.
Yeah. So
I thought he was the killer for a hot second.
Yeah, but the death was confusing because if you think about the overall plan, which explained in the third act, where they're going to set up Sidney's dad and all that, like the principle is the one kill that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
Like if we're killing students, if we're killing students and this and that, and I don't know, it just doesn't make sense.
Let's jump to the villain scale because I think it's a good segue. So if you're new to the show or you're just returning, like, right, we got to put Billy Loomis, because I would argue that he's the main killer, and I know that we have Stu here, but I think it's Billy.
Yeah,
and we're gonna put Billy through the villain scale. We got 4 categories, 1 through 5 on the scale. We'll create the card too. If you guys haven't seen those, check them out. thelastropodcast.com. We've been making these awesome villain cards. We'll definitely have one for this too. Look or style, hideout or lair, plan, and henchman. Start with the look and style. We talked a little bit about this already, but that iconic ghost face mask. What do you think of Billy's, or really the killer, right? Ghost face maybe is the killer.
I think it's genius. I mean, simplicity. I think simplicity is key.
Yeah.
Love the ghost mask. It was iconic. You need an iconic visual if you're going to have a horror movie franchise. No, I don't know if they set out to do a franchise or not after the first one, but it was pretty obvious that the people wanted it. So yeah, you got to have yourself an iconic looking killer. And I think less is more in this case. Simple druid, whatever you want to call it, garb, mask on, cool looking knife. That's all you need.
I'm gonna listen. Are you going 5 here? Because I have some thoughts.
I'm not going 5. Don't get nuts here.
Okay. You want to get nuts?
Yeah. Let's not get nuts. Yeah.
So here's my detractors from this. So if we started from a 5, because it's pretty badass. That's a cool mask, and it's cool. And it was cheap, easily accessible. People had them. So you could obviously be confused with like, well, who is it? And they even said it. They're like, oh, this is a dollar store mask. Like everybody's got these things. We don't know who it is. It was hard, right?
Yeah.
You can't see out of that thing, like I told you already.
Right.
There's no way you can see out of that.
Right.
And you got druid robes on. You're gonna trip. Like, you ever try to walk with like pants that don't fit you right? This guy's wearing robes and he's trying to run down steps and chase people.
Yep.
So that's mobility is certainly limited here. Yep. Yes, you're covered, but mobility is limited.
Well, let me ask you this: does the actual Billy Loomis high school heartthrob factor into look, or are we just talking about the ghost face?
I think it does factor into. So that we'll take some. Maybe we'll. Yeah, I think you're right. We probably have to add some too. But also, does he look too psychopathic? Because he needs to learn how to look a little bit more friendly.
He's giving it away too easy. Yeah.
And then the other thing you mentioned, so he has a cool knife, right?
Yeah.
Just get a gun, man. Like, there's guns in this. You could be a lot easier. You could kill a lot better with a gun. Like, he certainly had access to them. Like, couldn't he have, maybe he should have had like an axe or something, like even something more menacing than a little knife.
No, the mobility of the knife, the gun's too easy. Like the knife is like you're playing with your victims a little bit. There's a little more of torture involved when you're doing the knife.
It makes him more evil, I guess, to have a knife, because when you're killing somebody with a knife, like you have to plunge the knife into them.
Look, I don't want to like get into like serial killer thoughts and how they get off and this and that.
Telegraphing here.
But that is a thing that I've heard. That there's something about certain psychos, the knife kill is the kill.
Because it's like,
it's like, because the gun, you're like, dead.
It's done.
Like that's dumb.
Like you don't have to face what you did.
It's dumb, yeah.
So, okay, so we got the iconic mask, we got the knife. You're saying it's cool. I'm saying he could have done better. Do we want to talk about his looks as a teen heartthrob? Because look, I'm not going to sit here and say he's not a good looking dude. Let's just
that hair. I mean, everybody wants that hair for the 90s, especially
the clean white T-shirt, looking like a greaser from the 50s.
I mean, he's looking like Sean Hunter's older brother or something like that, right?
He does look like Sean Hunter's older brother.
Yeah, and not Jack.
Yeah, the true, not the half brother,
not the half brother,
long lost brother,
long lost full brother.
But I think his psychopathic. Like, he looks too psycho to me. I feel like it's obvious that he's him, but
he's got that look in his eyes, right?
I kind of want to go 3 here, but I feel like the mask is so good and it's so iconic.
I want to go 4.
Let's do it. I think it's a 4 because it's so iconic and it's so good that I feel like we can. I'm gonna dock him the point for the other stuff, but we'll go 4. What about, this is probably a quick one, hideout or lair? Like, does he have one, or is he hanging out at Stu's house?
So I get the feeling that So everyone's got these crazy awesome houses, right, in Woodsboro. I don't know, is it Indiana or California?
It's California.
I forget.
They say
Is it California?
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone lives on a farm, basically, like
Giant properties.
giant houses, giant properties, right? I get the feeling that Billy lives on the outskirts of town in a trailer home.
Yeah, like probably like a outsider kind of guy situation.
Yeah.
You mentioned Sean Hunter. It's a good analogy, I feel.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy.
They showed his dad. His dad doesn't look like he's, who the hell knows what his dad's
well,
up to.
his wife left him.
I feel like his dad mows everyone's lawn.
Yeah.
If we're throwing back to Summer Catch.
He's the Dunn, Ryan Dunn's dad.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Mr. Dunn.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Hey, you said it. They had the most successful business on the Cape.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But I get the feeling that they are not on the rich side of town.
we talk about giving
Willises.
zeros. Like we can't give a zero because the one by our own rules is this.
Yeah.
But hanging out at your friend's house,
Yeah.
where are they storing their gear? Like I don't really feel like he's got an actual place. It's got to be a one, right?
So Stu's house is great. Like that's where the finale ends up. But we're not calling that the lair.
No.
So
There's no hideout and or lair,
yeah,
as we found out in Lost Boys last week.
Yeah.
So
it's
all
a
right,
one.
let's go one. This is the meat of here now. I just don't understand what the motivation is. He says he has none, but just walk me through this.
Well,
Like,
he says
what
both.
is the plan?
He says both. So he contradicts himself. He tells
just
Sidney he's got no
contradicted
motive, and it's the scariest of the killers that have no motives, which is true. But we come to find out that Sidney banged his dad, breaking up their marriage. His mother
his
ran
mom.
off.
The mom banged him, right?
Sidney's mom
Okay.
banged.
You said
his-
Sidney.
No. Sidney's mom banged
Maybe she did too,
Billy's
I don't know.
dad, and Billy's mom ran out of town. She left town. She abandoned the boys, right?
Yeah.
And it's revenge time. And Billy was the one that raped and murdered Sidney's mom, and framed Cotton Weary. The
We need a
worst
flowchart
fears.
here.
The worst fears of Sidney have come true. She fingered the wrong guy, sent him for death row. And it
Yes.
wasn't even Cotton Weary. Cotton Weary was just a consensual partner.
So who did she see when she saw them leaving? She'd see nobody.
So
Did she ever see anyone?
So the key piece of evidence was the jacket.
Yeah.
Sidney says she saw Cotton leave in his jacket, and then Gail tells her, "No, you saw someone leave in that jacket.
Yeah.
Were you sure it was Cotton?" They got a hold of Cotton's jacket and started the frame job.
So, and we don't know whether it was actually Billy who did this or Stu. I'm going to assume it was Billy because
Probably
he's
Billy.
the one that
Crime of
that had
passion.
the
Crime of
crime of
sure.
passion.
Yeah.
But what I don't get about this, and this is where I think this guy's plan, maybe it's a 5 just because it's so off the rails crazy, or maybe it's a 1 because it's so bad. But I think like I don't understand with trying to destroy the family because his beef is with the mom, not with Sidney. And then
Right.
he proceeded to then date her for a year.
Yeah.
He's like, is he hate dating her? Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't really get it.
It doesn't make a ton of sense because if he had a problem with anyone, it was the mom for breaking up the home.
Yeah.
And then you did it. You killed her and
You
you
win.
framed someone and you totally got away with it.
Yeah.
You doing more things can only lead to possibly getting caught for that first murder.
I guess
But-
that's the psychopathic tendency.
But then he's, maybe it's possible that killing the mom was crime of passion. He did it out of like hatred or whatever, or revenge. And then he liked it. And he wanted more of it.
That's true. Well, how much?
Yeah.
So how much of this do you believe? Right? Because he said, "quote her mom was a quote slut bag." Now, I'm
Yes.
not making this up. This is actual words, right?
Yep.
He said that she quote flashed it all over town,
Yes.
and then he also said, "Your slut mother was." I'm not even gonna say bleeping my father. She's the reason my mother moved out and abandoned me. That's a direct quote from Billy.
Now, who's this mom that just leaves her son? The son didn't have the affair.
Right?
Why punish the son?
Exactly.
But anyways,
And what I also don't understand is, was Sidney's mom actually sleeping around, or was it he's taking this out and it was just this one moment? Like obviously she
no.
hooked up with Cotton Weary.
we know that she slept with at least 2 guys besides her husband.
Okay. All
Cotton
right.
Weary and Mr. Loomis.
All right.
So who the hell else knows who else? She's probably is flashing it all over town.
But
right,
hey,
Drew?
that's her prerogative. Like I don't care.
She's married.
Look, not my problem.
Look, you can have as many partners as you want, but If you're married, you can't be banging all the married dudes in the town.
That's true.
You're gonna get yourself killed.
Yeah, you're gonna get. That's fair enough, right? And same with you're a dude too, right? You do it as a dude, and it's like, you shouldn't be doing that.
If I'm all over town just banging married women, eventually I'm gonna get got. I'm gonna get got eventually. Someone's gonna
come with you with a scream mask.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't understand. Like, did they think that they could get away with this? And like you said, they already did it. They got away with it. So I don't get it.
So we didn't fully describe it. The plan was to kidnap Sidney's father, which they did, and frame him for the murder of everyone. All the murders.
All of them.
They ghosted his cell phone, which was a genius idea. So it all traces back to him. He disappeared after he said he was going on a trip, so that the alibi, he has no alibi. He has zero alibi.
On the 1 year of his wife's death.
1 year of his wife's anniversary. He goes on a murderous rampage, which ends in a murder-suicide of him and his daughter, Sidney. Great plan, right?
In theory, yes.
Almost got away with it. What was the fatal flaw of their plan?
I mean, they stabbed each other.
Yes.
And they started like...
They stabbed each other, and they weren't good at it, and they both weakened themselves.
That's like you're playing a video game and you purposefully like delete your own health.
Yeah.
Just so that you can make the final, like, why? It doesn't make any sense. And
they could have stabbed each other after they killed everyone else. Why did they do it first?
Yeah, do it. They made it harder. They played on all Madden level.
Yeah, they put the difficulty up. Yep.
You could change the difficulty at the end. That's like the game where you can turn it down to beat the boss and then turn it back up. It doesn't make any sense.
They put it on nightmare difficulty. Yep.
But I also, you talk about the motive. Like, if this was just about his mom, then why did he kill the principal? Why did he maybe that was Stu. Maybe the Stu just wanted to kill the principal. I don't know. And like, I don't understand, like, was it a full psychotic break? And I think that he's got to lose a lot of points here because he got so sloppy. So you could either say he's genius because they certainly succeeded at the first one. And that's almost like a 5 out of 5 plan there in a way. But then the second piece,
they successfully framed a murderer. They did that, so that's
they
great.
ruined it for themselves, and they got to lose points here. And the fact is, they even died by like toying with their own victim. Like, I just feel like I don't know. And then they lose points because Sidney winds up dressing up as the ghost and beating them as the ghost, which in my opinion was the riskiest move of the whole movie. Because imagine the cops come in and they see her dressed in the ghost thing with a knife. Yeah. These guys are like small town cops. They're not going to think it was Billy. Yeah. Someone could be like, hey, it was her all along. Her mom died. So she's taking revenge on the 1 year of her mom's death.
Like if Jamie Kennedy wasn't alive to like corroborate, like she could have easily been cuffed. Yeah.
They could have said, hey, it was her. Or the twist could have been Jamie Kennedy was actually in on it with them. And then he says, hey, it was her. Like she gets cuffed away and taken away. Yep. The other thing is, why didn't she just leave the house and stay on the phone? She stayed in the house to kill them. Leave, call the cops, and then toy with them and make her think that you're in the house.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I guess she wanted the death, but
she wanted the kill.
I gotta take this guy. I gotta take points away, man. I gotta take him away. I almost want to say it's a 2 because it's cocky and it's pathetic the way they died.
I don't know. I at least a 3 for me.
You going 3?
2 is a little disrespectful because the plan was so good. They just got cocky. You can't. I mean, they're teenagers, right? So you can't fault them for being cocky.
All right, I'll give it. We'll give it a 3. Yeah. We'll go with it because the first one worked so well. It was a 5, and the second half of the plan was not good. So we'll average it up to a 3. Yeah. I'm good with that. That's okay. All right. Okay. What about the henchman? Because like Stu sucks, right? I mean, Stu's not good.
So the only thing Stu's good for is the comedic relief, which he has,
right?
Clearly,
you give him points for that.
Give him points for that, for like being a good partner and all that, and a willing partner. But I kind of felt like it was obvious on which scenes it was Stu and which scenes the ghost face was Billy, because Stu's a very clumsy guy, right?
Yes,
super clumsy. I feel like he got his ass beat more than Billy did in his runs. Like his first fight through Sidney, I think was definitely Stu, because Billy showed up on the windowsill. There's no way Billy would have been able to make it around in time. He got his ass kicked pretty good by Sidney, even though Sidney's pretty tough. Anyways. And then the fight with Tatum in the garage, which was definitely Billy. Or definitely Stu.
Stu. It had to be, right?
Yeah.
He said, I'll be right back.
Yeah. If Tatum hadn't have tried the garage door and just fought, she would have won that fight, hands down. She just didn't believe. She didn't believe in herself hard enough. But Stu was getting his ass kicked, for sure.
and they didn't have any other sub bosses or muscle. I mean, this was just this is a 2-man operation.
Yeah.
Like maybe and ties back into plan, but it's in henchman. I think it was kind of genius to have a partner, and I'll give him that too.
Kind of risky though, right?
It was.
You gotta ask, like, I come up to you and say, Drew, I got a plan.
How much do you trust me?
Do you trust me? Let's go on a murder spree. You say no, then I'm like, I kind of got to kill Drew now because he knows my plan.
What's the recruitment of this like? Like, what was the recruitment of Stu? Like, were they like basically, mentally masturbating about killing people and stuff? Like, what was the pitch?
Here's how the conversation goes. It starts with Billy speaking out loud. Man, I'd really love to kill Sid's mom. She kind of broke up my family here.
Yeah.
And then you play it off as like hypothetical. And then Stu's like, yeah, well, we could probably get away with if we did this, that, and the other thing. And then you start talking about it as if it's not real. And then like at a certain point,
feel
you're
it
like,
out.
Yeah, you know what? Let's do this. Like they realize that they're both crazy and they want to do it.
I agree with you. It is pretty damn risky though.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you want to go 2 here? I feel like
I want to go 2. I think 1 because he sucks, and then a bonus point because he's funny.
And plus Matthew Lillard's awesome.
And he's loyal. He's loyal, so he gets a point.
Yeah, he's really good. I like Matthew Lillard, and I think he should get. Okay, let's go with 2.
Fun fact, real quick before we wrap it up. The part where Billy throws the phone at Stu at the end when they're both bleeding out, was not supposed to happen. That was all ad-libbed.
Oh, you serious?
Yeah. Then Stu yells at him, "Man, you hit me with a phone, you dick!" That was not in the script. It was all possibly the best line of the movie. It was ad-libbed.
I know we try to avoid having like graphic pictures as like the photo for this, but I feel like him just pathetically bleeding out like on the phone is like I'm going to put that as a candidate for the cover photo for this episode. See. If you are listening to this, you'll see whether we did it or not. But I think that's a good
woozy here.
It's like it's just bleeding out. Like I thought that was just comedic genius. Yeah. So all right, let's recap. So we gave him a 4 for look and style, iconic look, 1 for hideout and layer because he didn't really have one, 3 for plan. Good starting, bad ending, and then 2 for henchman. So we got a 10 out of 20 here. Not bad.
Fair. How does he stack up to the Slicker Man?
Let's see. He definitely blows him out of the water. So Ben Willis, at the time when we were doing this, we gave zeros. So we gave him a 0 for henchman for whatever reason, which I think we probably should amend it and give him a 1.
Yeah.
But that would give him like a 6 1/4. Like we did averages back then.
But it's fair. It's fair because Ghostface is, I think he's obviously better. So
he's right in line with Mr. Freeze, Rachel Phelps, Death, Jerry Jones, Billy Loomis is right here. So then we got Al, Angels in the Outfield, Emotep, and Dusty Dinkleman. So he's right there.
Oh, okay. I thought for a second we gave Mr. Freeze a 5. I thought you were talking about Slicker Man. Okay, good.
These are all 10s.
I was about to yell at you for giving Arnold such a bad score, but
no. These are all 10s here. So this is fair. So these are 10s.
Fair.
Yeah,
fair.
And then you got Dusty Dinkleman's got an 11. So because he had a 5 for his plan because it just worked so well. Before we get out of here, I mean, look, this is one of many, as we mentioned. I enjoyed this movie a lot. I think it's really good. I definitely have seen the second one. I like that too. Have you seen all of them? And I know there's like an MTV series, and I think there's a new movie. Like, where we mentioned before, right? You're more into the horror genre than I am. Like, where does this sit with you? And how do you feel about some of the other ones in this maybe franchise?
I thought 2 was really good. Not as good of a movie, but just a good sequel, if you will. I thought the additions of Timmy Oliphant and then one of the O'Connell brothers, I forget which one. Who the hell?
Jerry.
Gets
crucified.
Yeah, that was a good one. 3 stunk. 4, I didn't even watch. Everybody hated it. Seems. I never saw the series. I think it was more aimed towards teens.
On MTV, right?
Yeah, MTV series.
Literally.
Yeah, and then the new one came out, and I think it had decent reviews. I watched it recently, and I fell asleep through most of it. So it was fine, but it wasn't great. I don't know. So yeah, 1 and 2 are essential viewing, and I think the rest are kind of like, if you feel like it, not required.
With the series being a meta commentary on horror in general, do you feel like it's meta that they have so many of them, sort of like the other ones? And are they doing it on purpose, or are they trying to make them good?
I do not think they're doing it on purpose.
Yeah. I don't want to give them credit.
Con. That would be a long con.
We made 18, and then we're going to have Scream Takes Manhattan. So,
and I don't even know if Wes Craven was alive for 4, let alone 5. I'm not even sure.
Would he have approved is the question.
Yeah.
That's the real question.
The master of horror is rolling over in his grave.
Yeah. Well, look, I had fun doing these again. This was our second time. We did a two-parter. It was a two-parter for Halloween. We did the Predator month previously. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this kind of stuff. I think we got some really great comments and feedback on doing this type of thing more, and I've had a good time with it. I think you have too, Badway. So if you guys are definitely enjoying it, send us an email, thelastrowpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you want to see, upcoming movies. Send a comment on the page for the episode, thelastrowpodcast.com. Tweet at us at thelastrowpod, Facebook, Instagram. And as always, if you're enjoying the show, please consider leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser. Hit that subscribe button. And we'll be back in 2 weeks on Thursday, November 10th. And in the meantime, I hope you all have a very happy and spooky Halloween. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks. So did you think that they were going to show frontal? Because they showed, they're like, oh, here it comes. And then they showed it, and then they stood in front of Neff Campbell. Did you think it was coming?
No. The purposefully teased and not done because it's what you expect.
Yes. Subvert your expectations.
Yes.
Are you disappointed?